I'm Lynsey Hossman. I'm on the client development team here at Bank Group. We're an influencer marketing brand integration company that utilizes custom proprietary AI. And I'm thrilled to be here with Bailey. I'll let her introduce herself and share some of her many responsibilities of what being a social media manager at Guess entails.
Yeah, hi everyone. Really excited to be here and chat a bit about what we've been up to. I am the social media manager at Guess, and part of my role is to oversee all of our international and global social presence. So that's everything from all of our territories across the globe, everything from content to creation to influencers, and also working with some of our larger strategy projects, including working with TikTok as well as YouTube on our daily programming. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to a fruitful conversation and have also been really inspired by hearing about what's been going on in this space.
Yeah, I think that's a great introduction. And I know, as we discussed yesterday, part of your role, you are overseeing global strategy. I'd love to hear how you're handling influence from a global standpoint.
Yeah. So, what we've really been able to develop internally is really trying to understand not only the audience that we're wanting to talk to, but also really looking through the lens of the territory that particular market is and resonating more with that particular territory. So what what each particular market across the globe has is we have like an agency that sits within the territory that allows for us to really have more of a pulse on what's happening within that particular community and what's being what are some of the things that are happening within those audiences on social. So we're doing usually a consistent pulse check with what are the holidays that they are celebrating in their particular territory, or what are some of the moments that are happening culturally. So I will say that there has definitely been in the last year a number of more unifying moments that have happened, especially just with some more of the like cultural and social movements, especially during like the pandemic. We really had to lean into a lot of our local, key opinion leaders from their perspective to really give more of a relatable type of content to that particular audience. So with a lot of the stay at home orders, we were really leaning into doing seating with some of the influencers that were also staying at home, and really making it more of a universal message around what are the types of clothes that you're wearing around the house, and how is it that you are really kind of normalizing this new lifestyle that was very much which was very much a pivot from where Guess really stands in the market as a denim brand and as an elevated basics brand. So it's really important. It was really important for us to just like pivot and shift to really highlight some of our other categories, including Guess Active and a loungewear collection that we have as well. So we really lean into what are the communities talking about and really having that two-way conversation with them about what they want to see more of. So it's a work in progress. It's still happening as we are kind of shifting back into this this hybrid reality where people are still staying at home and people are still kind of going into work and testing those waters. So it's just been really interesting to see, how the different places around the world are kind of coming back to their new normal.
Yeah, and I know that we were joking yesterday that we don't necessarily all fit into our Guess jeans anymore, and that is really exciting that there's been such an expansion of Guess Active. So I'd love to hear. I know you've been doing some great stuff on YouTube and how you've diversified there, and kind of again, kind of to take into consideration what people are actually doing.
Yeah. In 2020, it was a really big priority for us to focus on social storytelling and doing that with a video format. we really looked into what we were some areas of opportunity for us, and we did have a YouTube channel, but it was really not a place for people to go consistently to see programming that was happening every week. It was really more of a hub for campaigns and behind the scenes videos that were kind of happening without really a true cadence. So we went back to the drawing board and said, we really need to develop a way for people to, we leaned into the YouTube formats when it comes to a lot of the content creators on the channel. And we said, we really need to, produce these videos that are native to the channel. So we said, let's take it up a notch and let's really align with some of the brand ambassadors and the content creators that we know are very loyal to our brand, and say, let's really give them the floor and the opportunity to be a part of our brand on a regular basis. So we launched our Styled by Guests and our Guest Active series. So every week we have a new guest workout that is highlighted on our YouTube channel under Guest Active. And we've worked with not only domestic influencers, but we've also worked with international influencers, which has been great because we do have workouts in other languages, which is really fun and kind of a unique spin on, really reaching that type of demographic. And so we've worked with yoga instructors. We've also worked with, high intensity fitness influencers. So there really is something for everyone. We've also had male talent, female talent. So it's just been a really great just learning curve for us, really trying to dial ourselves into what's going on YouTube. We do have pretty consistent check-ins with our YouTube and Google reps, just making sure that we're trying to stay relevant where we can be, and also just understand that our YouTube is something that we want to make content that makes sense for our brand, but also makes sense for the audience that we're trying to reach. So, with a lot more people leaning into YouTube for anything these days, being one of the primary search engines, we've also really tried to diversify how we're populating content on that as well. So aside from our styling series and our guest active series, we have our guest family series, which really kind of gives more of an insider look into the models and the photographers and, the talent at guests, including employees, and gives them, an opportunity to have a platform to talk about their experience in working at Guest. So it's been a huge undertaking just to really make it more programmatic, but it's also been really just really rewarding to see how we've brought guests to life in a totally new way.
Yeah, I think that's great. And then I know we kind of spoke about how consumer engagement has really become part of a two-way conversation with the direct feedback of social media.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to speak a little bit more about what you've learned from consumer engagement and how you're crowdsourcing from your audiences.
Yeah. So we are no stranger to feedback at this point, especially working in the social space. And what the beauty and the curse of the networks themselves is that you do have the ability to actively communicate in real time with your consumer. And we've really wanted to create this as a way for us to see, how can we take this to the next level? Not only are we wanting to just fine tune and formalize the engagement that we have on our channels from a, community management standpoint. So we've worked very closely with our customer experience team to really develop a voice for guests when it comes to any touch point that you have, from needing a package, a status update on a package, or maybe something that you have, you really love on our Instagram feed, and just making sure that that language and that messaging and that voice of guests is consistent on all fronts. So that's really making sure that we're developing a personality for our brand, because that's really important too. Is many times when we have our consumers or our audience post a TikTok video, we want to write a comment and say, we love this look, or girl, you are looking great. And just making sure that that type of language is consistent with that particular audience and that particular channel. So it's definitely been a lot. It's been fun to be able to develop that voice, especially on the newer channels. With TikTok, we do have some Gen Z gals on my team that really have helped to develop that out. But in another avenue, being able to directly talk to your consumer and get feedback from them has been something we really focused on with some of our crowdsourcing within Instagram stories. We do consistently quiz our audience on things that maybe they didn't know about our smart guest collection, or making sure that we're polling them on which type of denim are they wearing or are they shopping for right now. There's obviously a very huge fashion, controversy happening between skinny jeans and not skinny jeans. So we are definitely wanting to keep a pulse on that and make sure that that's relevant in our strategy and our content in general. But it's just been really amazing to see how much feedback we really are getting from our audience and how that does impact what our content output looks like. So when we have quizzed our audience on just the types of content that they'd rather see. Do they want to see more loungewear, or do they want to see more active? And especially during the height of the pandemic, that was really helpful for us because we were able to then, immediately put that into an execution format and then say, hey guys, like our audience, they really want to know what feeds to follow right now that's making them feel good. So we leaned into that and we're able to use the guest platform to really kind of elevates some other smaller voices on social media, because as many people were looking into social to find kind of a release or kind of an opportunity to feel like, wow, I want to connect with something in a different way. Guess on Instagram has almost 8 million followers, so it was, for us, we really leaned into and looked inward and said, hey, what do I want to see right now? So we did do a lot of, our team is very strong, and we also, we do talk to each other about, what is it that other brands are doing, and then what is it that you really resonated with this week. So just from like an internal employee standpoint, we talk about how we are consumers and how we engage with certain brands on social media, and then really try to apply some of those same tactics to the guest channel. And I think that's really what differentiates us at times when, we're looking at it's not just looking at competitors, it's also looking at, who might be in the beauty space, who might be in the mental health space, and being able to say, hey, we really loved what they executed on Instagram stories, or, oh, we really love, what they were able to do about this particular hashtag and this hashtag holiday. Like, let's see how we can recreate that and repurpose that in our own way, with also just using like an inspired by, and not trying to duplicate what someone else is already doing.
Mhm. Are there any specific brands or campaigns that you've seen recently that have really inspired you?
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely this is a good question. you know i I really do appreciate, I really do appreciate the groups and the organizations that were at one point just event based and one time were like in real life. And I personally was an active attendee of the Create and Cultivate series that Jacqueline Johnson put on in a number of different cities, and I have just really been super inspired by what she has done in the last year and a half in terms of really channeling and creating a different format for her events and taking them virtually, which has actually kind of inspired how our team creates our virtual events around specific moments that are happening in culture and also around the world. So I attended a couple of Create and Cultivate events and said, this is something that I definitely think that we can do from like an influencer standpoint and how we can reach a different audience. So we last week just had had our Earth Day virtual event, which was great. We had a full entire week of content that we made sure that not only were we talking about our Smart Guest collection and how we have made pledges to really do a lot better to tighten up our process and really create more sustainability standards around the manufacturing of our brand, but also we have a director of sustainability at Guest who spoke on behalf of the efforts that we've made internally at Guest. And in addition, we partnered with the Northeast Trees, which is a local Los Angeles organization, and for every attendee that joined the virtual event, we planted a tree in their name. So it was just a really great way for us to not only give back, but also talk to, what are some ways that you can be more sustainable in your everyday life. And I was able to join that conversation and talk a little bit about the Green Goals Pledge, which we gifted everybody the tree, but we also said, we'd love for you to make a pledge on Instagram stories and share your green goals with the guests on behalf of like what you would like to, make more of an effort to do, whether that's bringing your own bag, whether that's, air drying your clothes, or whether that's, just being conscious in anything that you're doing to try to just, have less waste. So that was a really, I was inspired so much by what Create and Cultivate had done with these different virtual events that it really trickled into, our strategy and really trying to, tap into doing something just like that, really similar.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And that was so exciting hearing about that. And I know you, with your continual innovation, you've also been leaning in and really giving consumers different ways to shop.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about some of the virtual live selling events that you've utilized and how you pivoted there.
Yeah. So speaking of sustainability, just what we've really learned in, just in this kind of wild time is that people are leaning into our, in e-com, but we wanted to do it in a way that was also still allowing for there to be more opportunities and more options to shop and see the collection. Because there's one thing to see it online, but there's another way to go in person and shop retail. But we just recently launched in the last 6 months our live selling events, which we have an entire team now that is dedicated exclusively to these shoppable live selling segments that happen monthly. So it's every 2 weeks we have a preview that allows for us to sell directly from kind of like a live experience showroom directly on our website. So we have seen so much success with this because people are just really wanting to see the product on someone else, even if it isn't them, and be able to shop directly from that. So we have worked really closely with that team to promote these on social media as well. So making sure that we have a countdown to the live selling event. And also this week, we will be going behind the scenes with one of our lead stylists on Friday to have us do a preview of the set and then also kind of give a sneak peek of what is going to be featured on the live selling event this Friday. So it's just another way that we've wanted to just understand, like, people are shopping really differently right now. People are, really wanting to feel safe, and people are also wanting to feel as though, there's multiple ways to find what you're looking for. And it's great because we also do have the perspective of the stylist and the retail associates being able to talk through the product as well. So it's been really fun for us to be able to do something different. So it's very similar to a QVC, but we have it it's guestified. So super fun.
And then you're also doing something with Uber delivery, correct?
Yes, yes. So we do have the option to get so when you call our store, you can actually book a stylist appointment directly with one of our stylists in store, and it's all virtual. So you can speak with someone directly at the retail location. And then if you like what they are helping you shop, Uber can pick it up and deliver it for you. So that's a new feature that we've also added in this last year.
That's awesome. And I think that as we think of Guess as a heritage brand, I think that we think of some of the iconic collections that you've done. And I know the Friends with You collection is just launching. I'd love to hear a bit about more about that campaign.
Yeah. So while Guess has, been mostly known for some of our larger campaigns, including Jennifer Lopez and what we've done in the past with many of the famous faces, we most recently launched a collaboration with the Friends with You artists, as well as J Balvin, to bring to light this very magical, colorful, and just very bright collection of men and women ready to wear styles, and really in celebration of bringing a little bit of happiness to every day. So this collection launched on the 15th of this month, and we have been super, just super excited and proud of how this has really just brought in a lot of light into how not only our content creation has been, but also just like the messaging behind the collection is that it really is, supposed to spark this idea of that brighter days are ahead, and find your happy place. So social took the lead on developing out a campaign specifically with TikTok. To We have a custom song that we created specifically for this campaign. So if you are on TikTok, you will be able to find it. We have launched our video with J Balvin, and he, in this video, really starts off in kind of a dark place, and then he is introduced to the Friends with You characters, and then he is transformed into his happy place. And that's really the whole message behind the campaign, is that we want people to feel really good in these bright colors, but also, know that your happy place really can be anywhere, and you can transform yourself into that happy place, and giving people that sense of being able to look inward, and also be able to bring themselves out of where they may have been, and kind of being able to look ahead, and share the happiness and that magic of the collection. So really excited about that. This week, we're launching more of the content creator series with 3 influencers that we're working directly with TikTok. So we're super excited about those videos. The first one launched yesterday, actually. So with Tessa Brooks. And then we also are working with Larson Thompson, and then Andrew Davila. So we're excited about that.
Oh, that's so exciting. I think that a global TikTok campaign couldn't be at a better time right now. In terms of your favorite campaign or favorite social media campaign that you've done, which one has been your favorite?
Ooh, yeah, this is definitely, this is also another good question. So last year, when in kind of the height of the pandemic, during around this time last year, we were, really trying to understand how we could be more relatable to the other, to just what people were dealing with, and how people were, you know, trying to find, their corner of the internet that made them happy. So we had worked with, so for Earth Week last year, we actually worked with Upworthy, which is another large, feel good platform. And we connected with them, in a way, and said, look, we love what you guys are doing, and we want to share more of the stories that you guys are posting. So what we had done with them is just continuously, had a smaller content partnership where we were really sharing some of the stories that they were sharing on their channel, but really amplifying them in a way that was just supporting their message, and said, these are the stories, so we had kind of a Motivation Monday campaign with them for a month. So we really shared some of those like motivational stories, just regarding what they had been doing during the pandemic. And that also is something that we are looking into doing for the month of June, which is also for Pride. So that is definitely something that we're excited about, and just leaning into some of these opportunities where we can share real stories, and be able to share real, and have real conversations with our audiences.
Okay, great. And then I heard this question on the last panel and I really liked it. What was the biggest surprise or biggest learning from last year?
That nothing is permanent. I think the biggest, at almost every at almost every moment there was going to be a pivot or a shift. So I think that just being able to know that we could be agile and we could be flexible was something that really brought us through last year, was just making sure, all right guys, let's move on to plan B, plan C. So just being creative and being flexible really allowed for us to shift what we were doing, and making sure that we weren't coming off in a way that would be insensitive or would maybe be tone deaf. So we've definitely known when to participate in certain conversations, and also, maybe when to not provide our feedback on something, just because that is uh, we do walk a very fine line when it comes to being the front, being at the forefront of just what consumers are engaging with your brand. So it's definitely been a lot of learning curve for us, but the biggest surprise is just nothing is what they say it's going to be. So that was definitely a good way for us to toughen us up.
That's great. Well, I guess we'll use the last few minutes to answer some of the questions that came in. So the first one is, what is your social media campaign process? Do you identify the influencer first and then create the messaging, or vice versa?
Yeah. So two things. The first one is that we have some of our social media campaigns and programming that are pretty much rinse and repeat. So when it comes to like our YouTube series and things that we're doing with, on Guest Active or Styled by Guest, we have those formats pretty much solidified. So we do kind of look for influencers to plug and play into that. However, when we do have an opportunity that comes to us with a specific influencer, we really do like to see, like, how is it that they can be creatively impactful in terms of, what it is that they want to work with us on. So for example, we were just recently approached by an influencer who is going to be doing a shoot with a UK based magazine. And we did have some options and opportunities to just be a little bit more creative with what we wanted to do there. So that was directly getting the input from the influencer, and then also just tying that back into what are our KPIs and how is that going to like resonate within our social ecosystem. And also making sure to keep in mind, like, where is that influencer, where is their audience the most engaged? Like, are they the most engaged on TikTok? Then we probably wouldn't want to be focused just predominantly on YouTube. So it's just making sure that it makes sense for the content creator, and then also, making it work for us as well. How is it that we can leverage on both sides?
Great. And then we have two more questions about influencer. So how important is the influencer in your marketing strategy and messaging? How do you identify who the right fit is?
Yeah. So with social, because influencers do really drive so much of our brand awareness, and that, I want to say, just that affinity that's happening like outside of our content strategy. They're one of the biggest pillars of how we create content, produce content, and then also, have more of a 360 approach to everything that we're doing. So with that said, when it comes to selecting the right influencers that we're working with, diversity is important, and making sure that when we are working with a number of influencers that are here in the US, that we are also aligning with influencers that do connect with each particular territory that we may be also having that campaign. So for example, we work specifically with our EU counterparts to vet in influencers within their own territory, and making sure that they're aligned with, the messaging of the campaign. And then what I thought was kind of interesting about this question is, how do we have the influencer, like, how is that messaging with the influencer really succinct? So the TikTok campaign that we're doing right now with the three content creators, we developed a brief for them specifically to follow like exactly the messaging that we wanted them to align with. However, that's just, I would say like it really depends, because oftentimes with some other campaigns that we've done, we've been a little bit more collaborative. But for this one in particular, we were very specific into the hashtags we wanted them to use, even down to the emojis. We were very specific about that. So I would say it just varies depending on the campaign itself.
And then another question from the audience is, how important is the data behind influencer marketing? Do the metrics drive the messaging?
Yes. Yes. So we're always looking at the end goal, which is what was the impact that they drove? Did they actually move the needle when it came to views and that channel that they were populating content on? And what did it do for guests? You know, did we see a increase in followers? Did we see an increase in engagement? So yes, that is actually how we do vet the influencers when we're wanting to work with them again or making the decision to not work with them again. So that is very important to us. And also just how is the influencer, how are they as a person? That's really important too. If they have, been able to be a great partner in terms of just like working with us and being flexible and, being really communicative, we love that. But if, some influencers that we've had experience working with have just really just a management that doesn't necessarily sync up with us, or like there's just constant like miscommunication, we just like take that all into consideration. And I think that as we move forward in this space of influencers and talent and working on like a brand and social basis, we really have to want to work with people who will want to work with us. And that's absolutely, at the end of the day, that's the best advice, is you want to work with people who want to work with you. And if they're just doing it for the paycheck, like it's going to actually impact like the product of the content, and you will see that. So we've taken that into consideration a number of times working with different talent.
Great. And then there was one more question that came in. How do you see your audience demographic expanding to be more inclusive as the industry grows and evolves?
Yes. So Guess has been around for 40 years, believe it or not. This year we're celebrating our 40th anniversary, and there's been a lot of shifts in the fashion industry that have been happening within the last 4 decades. With the social strategy right now, we have definitely been more than aware that we are wanting to prioritize diversity. So this is not just user generated content from people who are our customers who are shopping with Guests, but this is also the influencers that we're working with, and even more so beyond, like who works for Guests. I know my team right now, we are looking for two. We're actually hiring. So I wanted to drop that as well. So we're in the process of hiring for two social media specialists on my team. And that is like one of the first things we're looking at, is just, what is it that, what is your background in terms of how you can really create something and bring a new perspective to the team? Because social is something where the industry never sleeps, and it's really important for us to make sure that we are practicing what we preach, and making sure that like if we're talking about diversity from an outward facing standpoint, we need to look inward, and we need to say, hey, like this is really important for us to make sure that we're diversifying who's on our team, who has that voice, and how can we share that voice as well. So when it comes to diversity in our content, we really lean into user generated content for our social strategy. We love being able to see our customers wearing Guests and featuring them on our social channel. That's something that we're consistently wanting to showcase, and that's what you'll see in a lot of our content strategies. So when you go to our Instagram, you'll see a lot of the people that we feature on our channel are shoppers. There is a bit of a mix between some of the campaign models and then also some of the influencers, but we're also, we really love being able to highlight some of our actual customers on our page as well, using our Love Guests hashtag, which is our global UGC hashtag.
That's great. Well, I think we're almost at time, so I guess we'll just use the last minute or two, and I'd love for you to share what you're looking forward to most this year.
Yeah. Well, what a wild year was last year. So I think I'm still trying to, convince myself that it is 2021 and that it's not 2020. Um, I'm super excited to see how social will continue to diversify in terms of video storytelling, and also what we have been really doing within TikTok and YouTube. But I'm also really excited because later this year, we have a number of really fun partnerships that are coming out, which I can't really reveal too much, but I know that it's going to be something that's going to be really exciting to be able to work with and work around. And then moving into 2022, we also have a number of continued partnerships that are with a lot of other notable Los Angeles places in Los Angeles. So that's going to be a really cool way to just, kind of get back to our roots, because Guess is a Los Angeles based fashion brand. So it's kind of going to be a fun way to kind of take us through the rest of the year. So yeah.
And I see that Pearl is back on, so it looks like it is time.
That was so fun. Thanks so much, Bailey and Lynsey. Loved hearing what you are up to over at Guess. Those workouts seem really fun on YouTube. It's only 10 to 12 minutes. So I feel like I can fit it in between like sessions.
Yes, absolutely. They really are for everyone. So I highly recommend head on over to Guest's YouTube channel, youtube.com/guesttv, and get yourself a workout in.
Perfect. Yeah, it's good to get a little movement in between. All right. Well, I hope you join us back again soon, Bailey. And thanks so much for moderating, Lynsey. You did great.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. See you soon. Next up, we will have Christy Lane. She's the VP Head of Customer Activation Engagement at Mass Mutual. And her session will be moderated by Rachel Tuffney, EVP of Dionomy of